I'm Meosha Bean. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators Today we have a special guest.
Justin Burns.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I appreciate for having me on.
Yeah, oh, me too. I thank you for reaching out, and I love. I mean, my show is really just talking to people that are doing interesting things, whether it's in the industry or whatever field that you're in. And really, this show is more like really looks at entrepreneurship and all that good stuff, and that's what you do, and so many more things. But please tell me from the beginning, like, how was your childhood, and
Mhm.
like, what was that like, and how did you kind of find your way into what you're doing now?
Yeah. So, as everybody who is a creative, you have a interesting creative childhood, right? So
Yes.
the way you have to fine tune it. So I grew up. I'm from Chicago. I grew up on the South Side of Chicago in the inner city, and at the time, I always tell people this: like, I didn't know what I was good at. When people say, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a scientist, I was like, dude, I don't know any of that stuff is, right? So I kind of really just was patient. I kind of went through the ringer. But I always noticed something about myself, that I had a very unique, like kind of like a attention, like I paid attention to details on things. So that was my superpower, because I really didn't, my father was on drugs,
Oh,
and so I really didn't have a lot of mentorship. My mother worked two jobs she did the best that she could. And so for me, I didn't have a lot of people who was an entrepreneur, who I had an example to look up to. I didn't have any of that. So for me, I had to draw inspiration from what I seen. And that also involved looking at what was bad, right? And what wasn't good, to draw something from that. And so I think sometimes I tell people, like, even the bad stuff you're around, or even the things that happen to you, those are things that you can draw inspiration from. And so for me, I said, well, this is how not being a man looks like.
mhm.
And so let me figure out how to be a really good man. This is, this kind of like, I start to realize, like, the whole get a job,
Mhm.
you're going to be able to retire and that be your life. I realized that was a bag of goods that was sold to us.
Right.
And so for me, kind of fast forwarding into my 20s is where I really started to discover what my calling was and what
Mm,
my gift was. So
love that. So in your 20s, what like, okay, yeah, obviously there's trial and error, the things that we think we like want to do, and it's something we just, that thing that sticks. Like for me, it was always like film. I discovered it one summer when I rented this, Alfred Hitchcock series, and I was like, I want to make movies. That's what I want to do with my life, and um, just like you said, it's a process and figure out how to get there. But when you're in your 20s, and when that aha moment for yourself, or what you're doing now, what did that look like, as far as like, what was the first step? How did you kind of, okay, how do I make my way into this part of my life?
yeah, so here's the truth, right? I never expected to be an entrepreneur, like, ever.
Really?
No, ever. Never crossed my mind. I was working as this. It was so funny. Like, what happened is I ended up. I don't even know how the hell I got this job. I was so bad at, like I was really bad at staying employed, right? So I would cycle through jobs,
Mhm.
like it was just like bottles of water. Like, it was just reusable. Like, 3 months I'll be here, 6 months I'll be here, 9 months I was
Right.
the most horrible employees you can have. So I remember walking into this, I think I was just like handing out job applications, and I end up going into this cell phone shop, and I meet this guy named Mike. Shout out to my boy Mike, who is one of my guardian angels, who really helped me to grow. He took a risk on me. He saw this 20-something-year-old kid with this, who didn't even iron his shirt, right? And he took a risk on me. He said, they had a position in Chicago, was at a company called US Cellular,
Mhm.
and we were selling cell phones. And I'll never forget, he bought me on the sales floor. He was like, it's a commission. I was making $12 plus commission. I had never made over, I mean, God, $12 an hour, $13 an hour. And He brought me to the store. He said, on the sales floor, he said, "What do you notice?"
Mm.
I said, "I see a bunch of people and so much potential in being sales. People don't see because they to come to them and they don't go out and get it." And for me, I don't know, when he said that, it presented this opportunity of, man, I've been waiting on opportunities to come to me instead of going to get those opportunities.
Mhm.
So he said, if you listen to me, Justin, if you let me train you, if you let me coach you, if you let me teach you over the next 5 years or even the next 12 months, your life will be drastically different than you can ever imagine. Right?
Right.
I listened to him. And people were lazy. They were sitting in their chairs. People would come into the store and they'd be like, "Oh, I want to buy this," or "Oh, I had a phone repair." And all I would do is ask them about their day. "How's your day? How's your kids?"
Yeah.
I would do relationship building. I started to notice patterns. I started to get really good at connecting the dots. And in about 12 months, I became the #1 salesman in that company out of about 5,000 salespeople.
Incredible.
And it became this thing that really changed my life. And I'll never forget, I had this $10,000 commission check in a month. And I said, wow, I did this without a college education. And it was from that moment that was the seed, that was the gift. And so I always tell people that every part of your life, good or bad, is a stepping stone, but more importantly, it's a track for you to get to what it is that your life calling is, what it is that your gifting is, what it is that you are supposed to be doing. There's never a bad thing in your life that's not connected to source and connected to your higher power, connected to what you are supposed to be doing at a bigger level. And so for me, that was the stepping stone that gave me, because that was the first time in my life that I was good at something.
Oh.
Everything else I failed at. I barely graduated high school. I barely got this, but that was the first time in my life I finally felt like I had figured something out, and it was amazing. So
That's beautiful. That's awesome. Wow. I mean, you do so many things. I mean, when did the like you- that was the seed, and the fact that somebody gave you a chance and saw that thing in you, that light was like, "I'm gonna get-" and I think it's very important that somebody can lift somebody up and not, when they have an opportunity. I think, even I can totally relate to that. I think for me, it's like my mentor that I always will, I've known him since I was like when I first moved to Los Angeles, which was like 11 years ago. Um, he gave me a chance, so it is that thing of like, you need some help and somebody opened the door. So now that you're there and the seed is planted, um, how did you kind of get that thing going with your business and what you're doing now? Like, was it just like a natural progression, or was it just kind of still like rough at the beginning?
yeah, so I think essentially what it is like how the business got started was this guy. He came into my job, right? He came into my job, and he used to always like wear these dope suits, like straight head to toe, spiffy, had these nice, he just always had like this watch on. And I was like, he was such a humble dude, and he was so good at what he did. And I'll never forget, I was just like, one day I was like, man, let me ask this guy what he does, because he comes in at all times. Like, it's like he had a control of his schedule. It's like he was different. And I said, let me ask him, what do you do? He's like, yeah, I own this internet business. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, what the? I was like, you have a business on the internet? Now, this is circa 2008, right? This is circa 2008. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, internet business, what is that? So he's like, all right. He's like, listen, I got this conference coming up. You should come to it. You should come to this conference. It's amazing. I said, okay, cool. Bet. I'm gonna check it out. So, I went. It was like really cheap at the time. It was actually in Chicago. So I was like, okay, cool. I don't have to fly out because I didn't know about investing in yourself and going to conferences and getting on
Right.
planes and all that. So I said, okay, cool. So fast forward, I go to this conference and we're sitting in the crowd, and they're talking about all this stuff. At the time, like eBay and selling online was real popular in 2008, but then they were selling these things called ebooks and different products. And I was sitting there and I'm just like, I'm not used to really educating myself outside of school. So I'm like, I was like, okay, when is this gonna end? I'm twiddling my thumb. When is this thing gonna end? And here's what happened. The guy said something, and I call it the moment of time, right?
Mm.
What is the moment of time? The moment of time is where everything seems like it stops and your mind sort of dials into this thing. It can be at any point in time, but it's like a moment in time that you feel connected to reality because what's being presented, is connected to you on such a vibrant frequency, right? This is what's for me. Up until that point, yeah, I had made some money, but I just never found my thing. And then this guy said, this, and this is what stopped it. And the moment of time for me, he said, there's going to be an opportunity in the next 20 years going to shift the level of business, that's going to shift the way that business is done. And he said, people from Australia and Germany and Spain and London and different parts of the world will be able to buy your product on the internet. And I remember my head turned to the side and I said, that's my thing. If I can crack the code to that, I will have freedom. And from that moment on, I ended up reaching out to him. We became really good friends and ended up working for him for a couple of years, learning the industry. And that kind of planted the seed for me to start my own thing after working with him. So,
Wow, that's awesome. That's absolutely amazing. It's like what you said. It's like, I love that you said that financial freedom. I love the words you said. That's definitely something that I think everybody wants, right? But the fact that you can achieve it, it is possible. Um,
yeah.
So it's amazing. Wow, very
Yeah.
incredible.
I mean, when you think about it, right? What do most people want? They don't want money. They think they want money. They think they want time. They think they want all these things. And really what they want, freedom.
Yeah.
Most people crave freedom. And freedom means something completely different for every person,
Yeah.
right? Like it can mean something completely different. For some people, it means spending time with their kids, right? For some people, it means traveling. For some people, it means like getting your time back.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is when you understand that what people crave, I always say this when I'm speaking at my seminars, I'm doing my live events. I say what you all want is you want choices and you want three things. Every human desires really three core things, right? Most humans desire choices, the ability to make choices, to make different choices as you evolve and you grow, right? The ability to choose what you want in life. The second is freedom. You want freedom. You just talked about it, right? Like you want time freedom. You want whatever freedom looks like. Number three is you want fulfillment. You want to feel as though whatever your purpose is, whatever you feel as though that is, that you're fulfilling that. And most people don't have all three. And that's why they never experienced that thing. So for me, I had to have all three. I had to
Yeah.
have the ability to go, well, I want to make my own choices. What do I want? Right. I want to have freedom. So just like now, this is not bragging, but I'm in Mexico, right?
Hey.
And turn up, right? Like I'm in Mexico. Now I'm not vacationing in Mexico. Now here's another transition too in the way you look at life.
Mhm.
If you're watching this, especially as a creator, and you viewed your life differently. And what I mean is you viewed your life as seasons,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Your life will change. Here's what I mean. There's different themes, and especially if you are watching this as a growing being, which we all are, doesn't matter what you believe, right? We all are connected to spirit in some way. Whatever you believe, here's the thing, right? The reality of the situation is you got to know what season you're in. But because we like comfort, because we like the same type of quality, because we like everything to be the same, we don't realize it's not how life is. There's some seasons where you're in transition. There's some seasons where you let go of everything in your life that is attached to the old you.
Right.
Then you have seasons that some people don't even get to, which are You have seasons where you're grinding and you're planting seeds, because those seeds in the next 6 months are going to grow and manifest. That's why what you got to look at is where your life is and your income, your choices, where you are right now are the decisions that you made 6 months ago.
Absolutely.
So every 6 months, if you are not where you are, then I tell people, because the decisions you made 6 months ago don't match up with where it is now. You didn't plant the right seeds. You might have did work, you might have worked hard, but you didn't plant the right seeds. And then finally, you have some seasons of healing. And so some people need to enter in. The reason why you think about this and you're a creator, and the reason why you need to play at a bigger level watching this isn't just to just make a bunch of money and scale off into the sunset. If you have purpose and you have meaning and you are connected to source, then guess what happens? When you are connected at a vibratory frequency, what ends up happening is that you have to go through a season of healing, right? And that season of healing heals you. It heals your belief patterns. It heals that so that you can show up in the world in a bigger way. So.
Oh, I love it. I love that. You're preaching right now. I want to say amen for a second. I was like, let me. No, I love that. I love that. I think that is absolutely right. I love what you said, that you seasons and knowing what season you're in. That's so very powerful. And yeah, that's real. What's something that you would say advice out there to somebody that wants to get on this crazy journey of entrepreneurship, whether it's for like their own business or whatever? What would you say?
Yeah, so the thing about it is that I believe, this is a prediction of mine, is that very soon most people will have to become entrepreneurs. A majority of society will have to. And what I mean by that is, you might say, well, what about the workers? And on some level, they will have to become entrepreneurs as well, because, and this is not to instill fear in people, but here's the thing, there is a shift that is happening, a technology shift, right? And here's what I mean, you have AI that's taking over. There's a big shift that's happening a lot of people don't even know about, right? So AI is, companies are laying off, but I'm not talking about AI from like writing the articles. I'm talking about that there is AI is going to replace a lot of people. Okay. Yeah. It really is. And a lot of people don't understand that. But also you have industries like robotics. You have industries like robotics. There's going to be robots that are making your pizza. So there's going to be robots that are walking around cleaning the floors. So I don't think a lot of people are prepared for what is coming right in the next few years. Not 10 years from now, not 20 years from now. I'm talking about me and your lifetime. In the next 2 to 3 years, these things are going to rapidly shift businesses. So if you're an entrepreneur, the best thing you can do is up level your skill sets. That's the best thing that you can do right now, is that you up level your skill sets. You learn these things. You stop saying, I'm not good at technology, I didn't go to college. Listen, I built an entire technology platform and I didn't go to school. I literally went in and developed myself and read books and watched YouTube. I was saying this on stage one time, right? Mm-hmm. I was saying this on stage right now. I said this really loudly. I said, we are living in one of the best times in history. Mm-hmm. And people went, what? It's a recession and and saying all this stuff. I said, we are living in one of the best times in history. And they said, why? I said, because in me and your parents and our grandparents' lifetime, they didn't have YouTube University. They had to go to a library, and they had a limited selection of what they could read and what they could learn. There wasn't real estate books. There weren't all these skill sets that you could develop. But here we are, and it's not to say life is not challenging. Life is challenging in some ways, but here's the thing. You are living in one of the best time in history. You can go with the free internet connection, which most of us have. If you were to dedicate your time and effort to a skill set, you would get ahead. But most people, they don't take the time. They don't put in the work. They don't go through the anxiety. There's a book that I always recommend to people to get. It's called The 50 of Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent, right? And it's one of the books that I've read over 10 times because I always extract some gold from that book, right? And that book talks about mastery, and mastery isn't sexy. Mastery is something that's boring. Mastery doesn't show up and you don't get it overnight. Mastery is sometimes you have anxiety attacks. Sometimes you go through bouts of depression. Sometimes you are fearful. And so we are living in a society where we're driven by our emotions instead of driven by our purpose.
Ooh, ooh, that's
right?
good. That's good.
We're driven by our emotions. Your emotions will lie to you, especially if you haven't developed emotional intelligence. So your emotions really will lie to you because typically you're living the emotions of what you've seen growing up. So the best thing people can do if you're watching this is that you have a great opportunity, but the window is closing because we're about to enter into the technology age. That's what we're about to enter into. We're about to enter into the technology age. We're already there. I'm talking about advanced civilization. I don't think people realize it was coming. AI is here, but it's going to get more advanced. You may say, Justin, that's so dangerous. Well, listen, we already are behind. It's going to be like the Jetsons in this piece. And
Right.
it's true. You're going to be able to, very soon, you're going to be able to put on glasses and be able to, that's going to be your phone connection. These are probably, I would venture to say, in the next 5 to 10 years, these won't exist.
Wowza.
Right? These won't exist. So you might say that's scary. Well, listen, you can either be scared because guess what? They were scared when cars came. They were scared with all this stuff. This is going to ruin society. And guess what? That stopped your opportunity. So if I were you, what I tell people is learn skill sets. Learn how to trade, learn how to do real estate, learn how to get into film, learn that, but add the sauce of understanding technology and how you can add it to your business to make it better. That's how you get ahead, and that's how you become different. And that's what made me different. I wasn't always like this, but I started studying. Every single day, I study an hour to give me an hour to 2 hours every single day. I'm watching something, I'm learning something, I'm watching videos, I'm seeing what's happening in the world. You know, that's one. I'll give you a second one. Two, right? Two is really become a proponent of for at least a couple of years. If you can find a way to minimize your lifestyle for a few years, right? Here's what I mean. If you can expand your thinking, if you're watching this and you're in America, right? Go to other countries. Like get out of America for a second. You can love your country, but if you don't have kids, even kids, like I'm in a city right now called Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and I've met friends who bring their families here, right? Like if you can go for a second and you can get rid of all the damn debt you've accumulated for just a season and live minimalistically, go somewhere and stack your money, it gives you the creative energy to focus on your dream. But if you're stressed out trying to pay car insurance, trying to pay car notes, trying to do all this stuff, your dream is never gonna be realized because you got more month than you have money.
Right. Absolutely.
But guess what? You can come to somewhere like here that's amazing where people are building and you could pay $800 a month in rent and you don't have to have a car and you can live on that and you can do some work from home jobs where you can make $1,500 a month and be winning, right? Because you've gotten rid of your debt. Guess what you have time to do now? You have time to pour into your dreams. You could do that for a few years. That was one of the biggest cheat codes that I had, was that not having kids. Of course, I had that advantage because I didn't have to take but I would say the biggest advantage that I had was going and working on my dreams in other countries, saving money, and it allowed for me to bootstrap my company Miestro and own a whole entire platform and tech platform.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. I mean, the gyms. Oh, that's great. I mean, I so love that travel and do, yeah, I
Yeah.
love that, absolutely.
And meet people from all around the world.
Yeah.
You know, people say, well, I don't have friends and I don't have people I can network with. Man, I've met some beautiful, I've traveled to many places in the world. And when I come, I always go out and I connect with different people in different countries. And I have friends all around the world who have helped me in my growth, that have helped me evolve, that have helped me learn, that have helped me get to other levels. So when you do that, it opens up a door that you just don't know exists. But if you're stuck in the same city that you were born in, or you're trying to go back to the same city you were born in because, oh, my family's there. Listen, love your family, but take not like you can visit your family. You have to take a season. It's just that's why I say every season is different.
Yeah.
You have to take a season where I love my family, I love where I grew up, and you can own those things. But go off and live your life of healing, of growth, and then come back and you become a better person, a stronger person, and you can give to people. You can have room to give to people. But if you're always struggling, you're trying to, oh, I need to go and I need to stay here. And my mom, like somebody asked me this earlier this week, I told them I was moving abroad again for a whole year. And it wasn't just to save money. It was just like, oh, I found places that I feel alive in and I want to move. And they're like, what about your mom? She just moved to Atlanta. I said, that's limited thinking. My mom is a 2-hour flight away. So I can send my mom here. She wants to get out the country anyway. I think we become attached to these things where we don't, we limit ourselves and we sacrifice ourselves in the process.
That's good. You're right. Absolutely. Wow, this was amazing. Wow. Do you have anything? Would you like to say anything as far as like shout outs or anything that you have coming up down the pipeline for people to like maybe go follow you or kind of follow social media, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so we have we have our platform Miestro, which is our online platform. So if you are a creator, which you guys are creators, then check us out. We offer a 14-day trial. We're launching Miestro 2.0, which will allow for you to take what you know and turn it into cash flow. Basically, you can create communities, you can take payments, you can send emails. It's a whole hub to be able to get your video content out there to the world in a big way. So definitely make sure that you guys check out Miestro. Again, I built it with my amazing team that I have. So I'm excited about that. And you guys it'll probably be a link right below this video. You guys can sign up for a free 14-day trial. And then you guys can follow me on the interwebs as usual. You can Instagram is CEO Justin Burns on Instagram. Tag me if you see this and you've gotten something out of this. My mission and my goal in life is more than just money and wealth. It is to empower people to activate what I like to call the God DNA inside of them so that they become empowered and they can empower people all around them. So I always tell people like I believe that we are alive to enlighten each other. That way you can go out and enlighten somebody, enlighten me when I was a lost soul. And my goal is just to enlighten other people with my products and my tools, and everything I do is connected to my purpose. So make sure you guys go out, do the same thing. And I'm telling you, it will change your life.
Oh, thank you so much for your words of wisdom on our show. Thank you for your time. I was blessed by your by your journey and your story. I mean, thank you so much. I think people are going to really enjoy this. And yeah, guys, make sure you go follow on all the social media sites. Thank you again for coming on. And you have to come back in the future for sure.
Coming back on for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, until next time, always remember to live, love,